Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over straight punches. Straight punches are combative, or strike, we use in Krav Maga. Straight punches are going to be the first combative. When I say combative or strike, I use the words interchangeably. They mean the same thing. A combative or strike, meaning using your body and using it in such a way that you can efficiently strike someone and stop them from attacking you or doing what they were trying to do. So straight punches are very efficient. We're going to not only learn how to do straight punches, but we're going to also talk a little bit about when would they be most effective and where should we use our straight punches in terms of what part of the body should we be striking. Okay, so straight punches, and I'm going to use Bob here to help me with my straight punches. Bob, say hello. Of course, Bob can't say hello, but he is excited to have you just like I am. So straight punches. Straight punches. So you give you an idea what straight punches look like, but now let's slow it down and break it down, okay? What exactly am I doing? I'm doing more than simply balling up my fist and punching or swinging my arm. And that's what most people do. When it comes to straight punches, everyone assumes they know how to throw a punch. Very few people know how to throw a punch effectively and correctly. So the first thing we're going to do is, I want you to bring your hand up like this. Now, I want you to curl the fingers at the first knuckle. Curl the fingers one more time. Now, your thumb stays under your fingers like this. This is how you make a fist. That's what it looks like. From the side, from the front. That's what it looks like, okay? Look at my thumb. Thumb is not out, thumb is here. All right, so when I make a fist and I make it correctly, now I want you to think about the part of the fist I want you to make the most contact with. This is very important. Why? Because fingers are the most fragile part of the human anatomy. It takes very little to break fingers or even break your hand. That's why when you watch the YouTube videos, you see the street fights, someone almost always breaks a finger or breaks their hand because these fingers are very fragile. So when you punch, you want to focus on making contact with the first two big knuckles. These are less inclined to break than these two. They're stronger than the two on the end. So I want you to think about making contact with the first two big knuckles. Okay? So the first two big knuckles is what we're making contact with. Here's the other thing too. When we punch and we take our hand and we strike our target or the attacker, when we punch with the first two big knuckles, it's also important that we punch in a straight line. Meaning, I want my arm to be straight from the shoulder to the first two big knuckles. Shoulders, first two big knuckles. It should be looking almost like looking down the barrel of a gun. See how straight my arm is? There's no flexion in my wrist. When there's flexion in my wrist, that's how you do what's called rolling your wrist. You hit something and then your wrist collapses, right? Or rolling the wrist. I want to make sure my arm is straight from the shoulder to the first two big knuckles. Making contact with the first two big knuckles. Think about my fist leaving my face and traveling toward the target in a straight linear path. Good. Straight linear path. Straight linear path. Straight linear path, straight linear path, straight path, here and then back. Okay, so when we do this, we're going to do it from a fighting stance. Remember fighting stance. Fighting stance, my hands are here, my feet are shoulder width apart, my knees are slightly bent, elbows in, hands level with my face. Okay, so when I start my punch, my hand is going to leave my face, is going to travel in a straight line toward the target. Bam. Straight line toward the target. Straight line toward the target, then it's going to come back to my face. It leaves my face, straight line to the target, and then it comes back. Straight line to the target, then it comes back. Okay? And that's important for you to learn now. One thing I like to tell my students is, bring your hand back to your ear. So when I punch, hand leaves and it comes back. Because I want to start getting that muscle memory where my hands always come back to my face. I don't want to punch and then my hand comes back here. See the problem? Now my face is exposed, right? My face is exposed. When my hands stay down, my face is exposed. I want my hands coming back, protecting my face. Hands go out, it comes back. Fist goes out, fist comes back. Fist goes out, fist comes back, right where it came from. It doesn't go out on this plane and then come back along another plane. So it doesn't go here and then like that back. It goes out and it comes around along that same plane back. Goes out, same plane back. Out, same plane back. Okay, that's very important because you're trying to develop or establish muscle memory where your hands are trained to always come back to protect your face at all times. By the way, think about your face as your home, all right? You would never leave your house unprotected. None of us would do that, right? That's foolhardy to do that. But if your hands don't come back, say I'm punching with this hand, and this hand drops, then there's no one home. My face is left unprotected. And trust me, someone will come into your home in the form of a fist, an elbow, or something. So think about always leaving someone home. When this hand leaves home, this hand stays home. If this hand wants to leave, he has to come back. Bam. He leaves, he stays. He leaves, he stays. So I'm touching my ear. I'm punching with one hand and touching the ear with the other hand. I'm punching with the other hand, touching the ear with this hand. So I'm establishing muscle memory. Muscle memory. So I won't have to think about my hands coming back. They will come back because I've ingrained that almost into their DNA, right? So I'm not doing this. You ever see guys doing this, right, and leaving their house unprotected? That's a surefire way of getting punched in the face when your hands are down here. Hands are up in your fighting stance, you punch, touch the ear. 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 Making contact with the first two big knuckles. See how my fist is straight, my arm is straight. Here, from the side, arm is straight, arm is straight. Okay, so let's go back to Bob again and talk a little bit more about some other principles of straight punches. One of the biggest things that you have to learn now at this stage in your career is incorporating your whole body in your striking, right? In other words, I don't want to do just arm punching. This is arm punching. This is my arms moving independent of my body. So when my arms are moving independent of my body, look at my trunk. There's no trunk rotation. There's no hip rotation. It's just my arms moving. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. See, this just is my arms moving, but not my body moving. So there's a difference between an arm punch and a body punch. We want a body punch. I want to incorporate as many muscles as I can into this singular strike, or even multiple strikes, right? And I'm going to do that by utilizing my legs, my hips, my core, my chest, my shoulders, and every part of my body when I punch. So instead of just my arms moving, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, I want my body moving, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, so see the difference. Think about it this way. There's a kinetic chain of energy that starts at my feet, travels up my leg, through my core, chest, and shoulders, and it explodes at the end of my strike or punch. So that kinetic chain of energy that starts at my foot and travels through my legs is able to do that. So now, instead of just my arms punching or hitting you, it's my whole body hitting you, which is much more effective and much more powerful. And Krav Maga is about efficiency. I want to end the fight as quickly as possible. I can do that by punching you with my whole body opposed to just my arms. So I'm going to do that by doing what I call heel, hip, shoulder. Heel, I want you to imagine that you're squashing a bug with your heel or your foot. See, I'm just turning my foot, I'm squashing the bug. Then I want you to turn your hip as you pivot your foot. Pivot your foot or squash the bug, turn your hip, heel, hip, now shoulder, rotate your shoulder. Heel, hip, shoulder. So this is what you're going to hear me saying to you. Probably get tired of me saying it, but heel, hip, shoulder. I want all those three things operating as one. Heel, squash the bug, hip, turn your hip, shoulder, rotate your shoulder as you punch. So now, instead of just my arms doing this, I call it patty cake, baker's man, right? I want heel, hip, shoulder. Watch. Heel, hip, shoulder. So now I'm punching with my whole body, not just my arms. The more muscles you can recruit, the more muscles you can involve in any strike that you throw, the more powerful, more efficient, and effective that strike is going to be. Think about it this way. If you ever gone to the gym, if you've done some form of isolation exercise, say bicep curls, right? We see guys in the gym and they're doing these bicep curls, right? So what are they working? They're working the bicep. But their legs are not doing anything. Their body is not involved. It's just that one particular muscle that's being activated. Well, that's not what fighting is. That's not what defending yourself should be. You want to involve as many muscles as you can because you're going to be that more powerful, more effective, and more efficient. So when we're punching, it's heel, hip, shoulder. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Notice where my hands go. My hands always come back where they originally started from, right? So when I punch with one hand, my other hand is here protecting me. My elbows stay in nice and tight. In other words, I'm not lifting up my elbow like this as I punch. So it's not 1 and then 2. Because when I lift my elbow up, I'm exposing my sides. And I don't want to do that. I want my elbow to stay in tight. My elbow comes up as I rotate. Now my elbow comes up and I make contact. Watch again. I rotate and now my elbow comes up from the side. I rotate and now my elbow comes up. It's not here and then here, right? So here, elbows are nice and tight. Here's my original fighting stance. And then I'm punching. Left hand, 1. Hand stays here to my face. Then 2. So from here, it would be 1, touch your ear. 2, touch your ear. 1, touch your ear. 2, touch your ear. Heel, hip, shoulder. Heel, hip, shoulder. Heel, hip, shoulder. Making contact again with the first 2 big knuckles. Less inclined to break than the last 2 knuckles, right? Heel, hip, shoulder. Hands come back where they came from. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So those are the principles of straight punches, right? Don't want to overwhelm you with information, but as you can see, there's a lot more to punching and just making a fist and swinging your arm as fast and as hard as you can. That is going to get you hurt or injured. And it's not going to be nearly as effective as punching correctly. So straight punches are much more defined than just that. Heel, hip, shoulder, incorporating your whole body. Remember, the more muscles you use, the more powerful, more effective your strike will be. Hands always come back from where they came from. Teaching that muscle memory that your body's going to need, right? I want that to become ingrained in your DNA, that your hands always come back where they came from. Always come back where they came from, right? So that is what we call straight punches and Krav Maga. Thank you.